so that we can have a warm and safe winter. This campaign is brought to you by BEFM, 부산영어방송.
The time is now 7 o'clock.
This time of year, the end of the year, is a time for reflections, right? Looking back on the past year and maybe also planning for next year. And as we get older, most people come to realize that health is of utmost importance, something that we feel even more profoundly this time of year. So how long do these pledges to, eat healthy and stay active last? And how are we faring as a nation in terms of our collective health? Well, it is time for reflecting back so we have a better gauge of what to plan for the next year in terms of our well-being. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Friday, December 6th on BEFM, 부산영어방송. Good morning, Wavers. I hope you're all doing well. And, I have to say this week was an extraordinary week. And I feel like we kind of helped each other get through it. Let me ask you this, though, because we're going to talk about all the other stuff, the big news that, you're all aware of. Have you done all of your, kind of year-end physical exams? So this is definitely a thing here in Korea where, you will probably get multiple messages on your phone if you have not, gotten your physical exam done for the year. And it seems that, guess what? I have my hands on the report for the entire country's health. So are you ready? This is just a summary. This is not about you specifically. Okay, men in their 50s and women in their 20s are apparently smoking more. And there is a high rate of obesity among young people. So those are kind of the two biggest things on this report. So this is a result of the Korea Disease Control and Prevention Agency, or KDCA's Public Health and Nutrition Survey from last year, over 10,000 people. So first, with smoking, about 1/3 of all men smoke and 6% of all women. But in particular, there was a considerable increase, an uptick in the smoking rate for men in their 50s and women in their 20s. Interestingly, however, when it came to alcohol, drinking, it seems like men are drinking slightly less on average by about 2 points, but women, that number went up slightly. Well, how about physical activity? Well, I know that most of you waivers, the people who text in, you guys are always talking about how active you are. Well, there was a tiny dip in cardio activities, 유산소. And let's see, about 54% of men get enough exercise and 50% of women do so, leaving roughly about half of the country with some work to do. Another big factor, how we are eating. Overall, people ate less fruit and grains and more meat and consumed more beverages with higher fat consumption. And with this, we saw a corresponding increase in obesity, especially among young people in their 20s. But as many experts have pointed out, obesity, health, income, they are related, as income levels have played a big factor in perhaps men's smoking and physical activity, and obesity for women. So there definitely are social and economic factors at play, but on the individual level, we know that, we'll be probably putting that on our list, our New Year's resolution list to get healthy, whatever it is. For those of you who are trying to gain weight, who are maybe looking to lose weight, I'm sure that's going to be in the top 3 as it usually is. Well, for a text topic in line with our main theme about health today, let's talk about, all things healthy, health related. Tell us about a recipe. About, yes, once again, our favorite topic, food. Okay, so tell us about a recipe or a food item that is both delicious yet healthy. Is there something like that? I don't know. My producer looks very mad right now. She's like, is there such a thing that's healthy and delicious? I don't know. And maybe, how about a workout or a form of staying active that is doable and not painful? 자, 건강한데 맛있는 음식? 네, 건강하고 맛있다. 그런 게 있죠. 분명히 있을 거예요. I love Greek yogurt with fresh fruit and granola. And I don't put that much granola, so don't say, oh, it's unhealthy. It's just a little bit of granola and a tiny drizzle of honey. Tiny. Okay, so to me, that's healthy, relatively healthy. 그나마 할 만한 운동. 그런 게 있어요. 있어요, 분명히. 할 만한 운동 하나씩 추천해 주세요. 운동 좋아하는 분들도 있을까요? 아니면 꼭 해야 돼서 하는 건지 그것도 궁금합니다. Send in your messages to BFM's live stream live chat on YouTube. So go to YouTube, type in BEFM or 부산영어방송 to find our channel. So click on that, subscribe, log in, and you can join in on the very lively conversation. Also on your phone, pound 9050, shop 9050. That's going to cost you 100 won. You can also reach me for free uncut Kakao Talk. Same thing there. Search for BEFM or 부산영어방송. And you can send in your messages, photos as well, if you like. You can listen to us in so many different ways these days. 90.5, 103.3 FM. That's if you're in the Busan area on the radio. Like I said, we are streaming live as we speak on YouTube. You can watch us again on that platform whenever you like. We're also available on 2 apps, our own app, the BEFM app, and also the Patbang app, both free and easy to download. All right, let's look at the schedule for today. What do we have for you? So it is Friday. We have Casey with Foreign Press Highlights, Vasana later on for What in the World. And for today, we have 2 special interviews. The first one, we're going to be tackling the effects of this martial law declaration and the aftermath and the economy. So this is on the minds of many people. And yes, I understand experts are trying to, allay our fears, right? But let's get into the nitty-gritty of what this may mean for South Korea at large. Also, in line with our whole health or stay healthy kind of topic today over our theme, vitamins, vitamin. Do vitamins really work? I know many of you, how many vitamins do you take? Are they really working? Are they effective? Are we maybe taking too many of them? Well, we're going to ask our expert in hour number 2. That's all coming up. I'll be back with today's headlines. It is now 7:08. These are today's headlines. National Assembly to vote on impeachment against Yoon tomorrow. The main opposition, Democratic Party or DP, said yesterday it will vote on the impeachment motion against President Yoon Suk-yeol tomorrow over his declaration of martial law. National Assembly seeks to impeach Chief Auditor, top prosecutors. The opposition-controlled parliament yesterday passed impeachment motions against Board of Audit and Inspection BAI Chair Choi Jae-hae, Chief of Seoul Central Prosecutor's Office Lee Chang-soo, and 2 prosecutors. Ex-defense minister placed under travel ban amid treason charges. Former Defense Minister Kim Yong-hyun said that he proposed President Yoon to declare martial law. Kim has since resigned, accepting responsibility for the incident. Railway workers' strikes continues. Seoul subway unions reach deal. The railway workers' walkout continues for a second day as of today as the three Seoul subway workers' unions reached a last-minute deal early this morning and withdrew their strike plans. 11 test takers receive perfect score on 2025 CSAT. 11 test takers achieved perfect scores in all subjects on the 2025 College Scholastic Ability Test, or 수능, 10 more than last year. Bitcoin surges past $100,000 for first time. The price of Bitcoin has, for the first time, broken past the $100,000 mark, boosted by hopes of crypto-friendly policies under the incoming Donald Trump administration. And these are today's headlines. It's time to check in with Haley. Happy Friday.
It is, right?
It is because it's been a very busy week.
It's been a week.
It's been a week, yes. Well, before we dive into our Busan updates, let's get into our text topic. Yummy, healthy, is there such a thing? Anything you can recommend?
She yelled at me, not her, but the other she in the studio. Our producer, she was like, there's 그런 게 어딨어요? I was like, 뭘, 그러니까 물어보자고요. She was like, there is no such thing. I'm like, yeah, that's why, let's ask. Let's ask.
Is there such a thing? I think there is.
I think there is.
Yogurt is relatively young.
It's all relative.
Young,
it's
healthy.
all relative, right?
Yes,
I mean, it's better
all
than
relative.
like flat out ice cream.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Yes. So, what do you consider yummy and healthy?
I'm obsessed with fiber.
Fiber.
Because
It
I
keeps
know
you regular?
I know, yeah, and amongst others.
Yes.
And because I know the whole like the fundamental three basic nutrients are 탄탄지, your carbohydrates, protein, and fat. But I'm like, we have no problem getting fats and carbohydrates.
Oh, no
like,
problem
why is
there,
that even I know it's a basic, but like, I don't need to think about it.
Right.
I need to think about getting fiber. But vegetables, I know I'm an adult and everything, but it's like,
Really?
they're so. I mean, they're yummy, but they're also like. But would I slurp on a bowl of pasta versus carrots? Of course I'm going to slurp on a bowl of pasta. But I shred them. I think for me, it's all about texture.
Oh.
So I have a shredder.
Uh-huh.
So I shred carrots, and there's this 당근 라페, the carrots râpé. It's a fancy French, like marinated carrots.
Right.
Those are pretty good. I shred cabbage and then
You
put
shred
some.
everything.
I shred everything. It makes it, it goes down easier.
Yes,
and it's pretty good.
yes.
It's pretty good.
I
I'm
don't know.
hearing like.
I know. Weird like sound effects from over there. We need a
all
mic on the
right.
producer. You know what I've been obsessed with though lately? And this is like right when veggies are
Some soak, I know.
Some, but then there's the samjang that I've been making, made with tofu, lean chicken, and like traditional sam mixed all together. And you
By
don't
the-
even need
yeah.
rice. You just need that plus the veggies. So good.
Oh, speaking of rice, when I was on like an
Yes.
intense, not intense, like eating healthy, clean eating
Yes.
craze about a decade ago, I replaced all of my rice with tofu.
With
I would get tofu, like drain the water out of it and just
Yes.
crumble it.
Yes.
And I think I tricked my brain thinking it was rice. Like, I'm not that dumb. I knew it wasn't rice, but it
You know what's
worked.
also good? Oh, I'm sorry. She's going to yell at us soon, but like the konjac, like anything with like the konjac jelly, I like.
If you have a weak stomach,
Yes.
it's hard to digest.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, not I. Not for
Not
me.
you.
Not a problem. All right. We're going to jump in finally into our first update. The city is growing increasingly frustrated over this Korean Air Asiana Airlines merger and what's going to happen to Air Busan.
Right, so that is the big question for
Yes.
the city's economy. And this is the biggest local issue with the Korean Air Asiana Airlines merger. What's going to happen to Air Busan, which
Yes.
is, by the way, a subsidiary of Asiana Airlines. So according to reports, what's been happening this week, one Busan area lawmaker, unnamed, and the land minister, Park Sang-woo, met unofficially last month. And in this meeting was a proposal to establish a new low-cost carrier, 저가항공 LCC, that would be based off of the newly built Gadok Airport. then it is likely based on the judgment that it's probably not going to be feasible to divest or 분리 매각 Air Busan off of Asiana and sell it kind of back to a Busan area company.
I see. So let's go over why this is a problem, this proposal.
Right. So the problem with is founding a new LCC in Busan.
Okay.
Well, it's just not realistic. Is the problem because you cannot establish a company out of thin air like that.
Okay.
So with the merger of going back to Korean Air and Asiana Airline, the two biggest airlines in the country, there are three LCCs. Air Busan, Jin Air, and Air Seoul, they will most likely merge as well because the parent companies are merging.
Right.
And then because then we have a giant LCC conglomerate with these three, the other existing LCCs in the country will likely seek some sort of a similar merger to kind of increase their respective sizes.
Sure.
So with these movements going by companies to strengthen their respective market share, it's just not going to be possible to create a new airline to kind of, wiggle into that market. Secondly, local consensus.
Yes.
It's against it. Because Busan City actually played a significant role in the foundation of Air Busan. It is still one of the major shareholders.
Okay.
So people of Busan and Busan City itself, they really are not up for giving up the company that they've helped to grow, so to speak, to a different region and start from scratch all over again.
So that is what's going on that front. And of course, we'll be awaiting news to see what really does happen. We're up next. Let's talk about this. The Railway Workers Union continues into day 2 of its strike. But as this is going on, some school workers are studying a general strike today. And I was watching the news thinking, so many things happening
strike
right now.
after strike.
Yes.
So this is the solidarity of irregular school workers, 전국 학교비정규직 연대회의 under an umbrella union. So they have been demanding a wage increase that reflects the inflation in the country and a direct answer from the educational governor on the matter. However, while the workers and the employers, they've been going through 9 rounds of negotiations since this summer, they have not reached a conclusion. So this has prompted the workers to launch a strike starting today.
Well, big question. How is this going to affect schools, students, their lunches and all
So going
that?
back to this being a strike of irregulars, so part-time and contract workers, it does not affect the teachers. Classes will go on normally. However, this will affect the meals, lunches, after-school care, some of the 늘봄 classes, and special education classes.
Right.
So the City Office of Education, they've prepared for this in advance, and they've made the necessary adjustments or will offer simpler meals like pastries or bread, rice cakes, and fruit instead of a hot meal. They've also designated a separate supervisor for these after-school classes to minimize setbacks.
I see. Well, I certainly hope that, they will come to some sort of good compromise so that all sides, they get what they want. I don't know, that we'll see if a compromise is possible. Up next, let's talk about life expectancy here in Busan. It says about health and how long we're living, I guess.
Right. So we've heard, or some people have said that babies born right now will live to be 100. That's a myth. And I think we had it's a while ago, segment or a special interview about how we've kind of reached a plateau on the age increase. But, a bit of a not so great news. An average child born in Busan as of last year can expect to live until they're 82.6. Once again, on average. But while it's not that bad, it is the lowest out of all metropolitan cities.
Right.
So this is Statistics Korea numbers on how long a child born at this point can expect to live. For the first time, though, they're offering data divided by regions.
Yes.
So Busan's figure of the age, 82.6, is actually nearly 1 full year lower younger than the national average of 83.5.
Okay.
And especially what's concerning is for boys, that age coming at 79.7, not only almost full 6 years lower than that of girls in Busan, but also the only figure out of all 8 metropolitan cities plus Seoul at below 80. Also, our neighboring Ulsan and Gyeongnam had lower than the average life expectancy.
Obvious question. Why?
Right. So, of course, that has to go to your health, which is why we're talking about this.
Yes.
Looking at another statistic is the causes of death. So Busan apparently had the highest deaths out of the entire country from stomach and liver cancers, 위암, 간암, and among the highest in terms of diabetes. So once again, preventive care is really, really crucial for
Indeed.
these pre-existing conditions. So yeah.
Now we know, so let's get healthy, Busan. I know we have many listeners from all over.
You,
but
me, all of
yes,
us,
all of us
waivers.
together. For our final story, we have the final figures for the festival 10월, the first time that we really had this.
Right, the first ever. This was the convergence of festivals with 17 separate events all coming together as one. And that was only for the first 8 days of October.
Yes.
So Busan City yesterday released the results of the figures with big data analysis by Yongsan University. So the report card total of 391,000 visitors to Busan during this 8-day period. And that was up by 92,000 compared to the same period last year when all of the events did take place, but separately. So speaking of this convergence, putting them together, 5,000 tickets were sold for these mix and match, the grouping of events.
Okay.
And for the month of October itself, there were 510,000 foreign visitors who came to Busan. This is up significantly by 77% compared to the previous year.
Yes.
And also on top of that, they stayed longer. And, importantly, spent more money creating more tourism revenue.
Yes.
And 84% in terms of satisfaction, 84% said that they were satisfied with what they experienced and said they would come back. But there were also, of course, always, nothing's perfect, improvements to be made, especially because this was year one, in terms of preparations and delegating some of the tasks with other relevant organizations, including the Busan Tourism Organization.
Yes.
So Busan City said that it will work on these improvements for next year and for Festival 10월 to continue to be a global festival.
Like you said, though, this was just year one.
Right.
Here's hoping that, next year is going to be even more eventful and successful.
We can only go up from here.
That's right. Thank you, Haley. We'll check in with you real soon. And with that, let's get back to your text topic for today. It's about health. So if there is such a thing, we want to hear about those healthy recipes that are delicious. Yes, it is possible. I do want to read one though. Also, any really doable exercises. 힘들지만 그래도 해볼 만한 운동 추천해 주세요. I'm going to read Gosu's message. 조미료 없이 맛있는 건 없는 것 같아요. 저는 30살 때까지 어머니께서 해주신 음식이 다 맛있었어요. 그런데 조미료를 때려 넣어 맛있다는 걸 그 이후에 알았답니다. 결혼이 아니라 결혼하셨지만 결론은 조미료가 들어가면 뭐든 맛있고 건강은 운동으로 채워야 되는 것 같아요. So basically he says in a nutshell, he didn't realize how good MSG was, but it's really tasty. He learned long after he left his mom's home that basically his mom was putting in a little, of the tasty MSG, and basically we need to, work out to counter effect that. But basically his mom's cooking is delicious, is what he says. Well, here is your traffic and weather. Here's your traffic report. It's now 7:22 on this Friday morning. There's some congestion on Luno-Samsungdaedo from the Myeongji underpass to Shinho Bridge right now. It's also backed up on the Dongso overpass from Hwangryum ramp to the old Gaegeum tollgate. Here in Santum, it's currently 7 degrees Celsius. And I say Santum because all over Busan, it's a little different. We have partially cloudy skies right now. The daytime high is expected to go up to 11 degrees today. Looking ahead to the weekend, tomorrow, well, we have a low of 2, a high of 9. And on Sunday, a low of 1 and an expected high of 7. So both clear but significantly chillier. And this was your traffic and weather.
Are you an early bird? Are you up to date on the news? Are you a trendsetter? For all of the biggest issues from Busan to the world and useful information you need, right here on Morning Wave in Busan.
It's now time for News Digest, and Haley's still here with us, obviously, and we're going to go to our top story. It's a story that cannot, it's still there, obviously. It's about martial law, the declaration of such, and the subsequent impeachment motion. So the impeachment vote, from what I understand, it's going to happen tomorrow. But first, we need to go over the basics of what a presidential impeachment or 탄핵 means here in Korea.
Right, and what the process involves, because it is a multi-step process. So we are talking about an impeachment of a president. However, keep in mind that other public officials, including the prime minister, ministers, judges, the audit board chair, as we just saw, and others can be impeached as well.
Yes. So first, what are the grounds for impeachment?
Right, so we're going to the very beginning. How? So why would one be impeached? So number one, 탄핵 사유. So when these public officials I just mentioned, they have violated the law or the constitution, and this is key, not just for anything, but in carrying out their duties. So 직무 집행에 있어 헌법이나 법률 위배됐을 때. So in this case, we're going to tie this back to what's going on right now. The opposition parties see that President Yoon Suk-yeol declaring martial law when we are not in a state of war or rebellion, that was in the violation of the Constitution's definition of when the president can declare martial law.
Right. So those are the grounds. And now we're going to go through the actual steps, the process of impeachment.
Right. So once the qualifications or criteria, they're met, number two step is submitting a motion to impeach. In Korean, we call that 탄핵 소추. So only the parliament can do this, and you need 1/3 of the lawmakers in filing for the motion. They've done that. And to pass the motion, 탄핵 의결, you need a 2/3 majority. This is what's going to happen, we don't know if this is going to happen, but a vote will happen around 7 p.m. tomorrow.
Yes.
Again, going back to the figures, the opposition parties collectively have 192 votes.
Yes.
You need 8 from the People Power Party.
To make it 200, right?
Exactly, to get to that figure, 200, 2/3. But, by the way, then, we don't know, because the party line for the ruling People Power Party has been that they are against impeachment. In any case, going back to the timing, under the law, once that 탄핵 소추, the impeachment motion, is filed, you have between 24 and 72 hours to vote on this.
Yes.
So technically, the Democratic Party could have pushed for a vote as early as a little bit after midnight today.
Yes.
However, the party spokesperson said that it saw the need to give the public and also some lawmakers, naming PPP lawmakers, time to kind of digest and make their own decisions on that impeachment bill. By the way, in this step under South Korea's democratic history, 2 presidents have been impeached by the parliament, meaning that their impeachment bills did pass.
Yes.
탄핵 가결, and those are former presidents 노무현 and 박근혜.
So what happens if, Parliament does approve the impeachment? What happens
Right,
then?
so we saw this happen 8 years ago, but 2 things happen. For the president, his or her rights are suspended immediately.
Right.
And when that happens, an acting president steps in. We had questions about that, especially from our U.S.-based listeners, because that line of succession is very clear in the U.S. because you have the vice president.
Sure.
Constitutionally named to fill that role. In Korea, it's usually the prime minister, and he or she, in this case, he will step in as 권한대행. And then, in terms of what happens with the impeachment, the ball or the bill is passed on to the constitutional court, 헌법재판소. The court, and this is kind of tricky because the constitutional court is a 9-person bench. There are 9 justices. You need 6 of the justices to approve the impeachment. But under the constitutional court law, you need at least 7 justices to even rule on the matter. Here's the thing, tying it back again to what's happening now, there are only 6 justices sitting on the bench currently because 3 have retired.
Yes. So this is kind of the tricky part. Will the Constitutional Court rule or not be able to rule on the impeachment is the question.
Because, simple math, you need 7 They have
there's-
6. They're
yes.
-1. But here's another twist in the story and what's been happening politically. So remember this whole debacle surrounding the Korea Communications Commission's chair, Bang Tong-wi chair, Lee Jin-suk, who was also impeached earlier this year.
Sure.
Well, she actually filed an injunction to asking the Supreme Court to stop this law on the whole 7 justices bench ruling on an impeachment.
Okay.
The court accepted it, saying that if the court cannot even hold hearings, not rule, but even hold hearings on the issue, it's an excessive violation of one's rights to a fair trial.
Okay.
However, that's for an impeachment of a lower-ranked public official, not the president. So pundits say it will be hard to see the Constitutional Court ruling on such a grave matter, perhaps the most grave of them all, with just 6 justices on the bench.
Right.
Right, because then you would just need 4 out of 6 justices to approve the impeachment. So right now, the Democratic Party, they've nominated 2 judges for the Constitutional Court. And some pundits say that the impeachment proceedings may begin after these 2 judges, if they're approved onto the bench.
Right. So I was watching actually some of the experts on the news early this morning, and some of the experts seem to think if they do go ahead or are able to do so with the 6 justices, it's actually going to be, they're going to have to get 6 out of 6 votes, which is a completely
so it's going to be,
it's
it
not
has to
4
be
out of 6,
unanimous
it's 6
vote.
out, yeah,
I
so
see.
which makes it a whole different story.
Right.
6 out of 9 versus 6 out of 6. So that's why this will be very important to see if more justices make it onto the bench. We're going to have to wait and see. All right, so moving on to our next story. The U.S., all related, has weighed in on this as well. So what have representatives of the United States said about this?
Right. So I'm sure we will cover this, kind of the international response in our upcoming segment. But the Deputy Secretary of State, 국무부 부장관 Kurt Campbell, said during a forum, badly misjudged. That was his call. He pointed out that the reverse law imposition is viewed as deeply problematic and deeply illegitimate. And he did describe the political party's oppositions to the decree, the parliament striking it down, as reassuring. And the U.S. also later said that the U.S.-South Korea-South Korea-U.S. relationship is one that transcends individual presidents.
Yes, it does. And, for most of all the American newscasts, they kind of began each newscast with a story saying this is such an important story as South Korea is one of the U.S.'s strongest allies, right? So this is why we're covering this way. And now let's gauge public opinion on this issue. What are the people saying or thinking?
Right. So there are multiple public opinions polls right now by respective individual broadcasting stations. I'm going to focus on the Real Meter poll commissioned by the Energy Economy paper. This was conducted over 504 people.
Yes.
So 73.6%. They agreed with the impeachment. 24% were against. 2.4% said that they were not sure. And breaking this down by geographical regions, highest agreement to the impeachment came from Gwangju and Jeolla area, 79.3%, followed by the capital Incheon, Gyeonggi province, 77%. Coming to Bulryong, it was slightly lower here in Busan, Ulsan, and Gyeongnam at 72.9%. But even in what many people consider the most conservative area, the Daegu, Gyeongbuk, the TK area, impeachment was in the majority at 66.2%.
Okay.
And then to the age group, we saw an interesting breakdown. 2 groups that saw impeachment approval in the highest range, 18 to 29, young people, and those in their 40s. They're usually the ones that went through the Democratic protests in the 80s, so they do tend to veer more onto the progressive side. In terms of, speaking of progressives, political affiliation, clear divides. Progressive, 94.6% in agreement. Moderate voters said 71.8% agreed with the impeachment. Conservative, a tiny majority at 50.4%.
Oh, interesting.
However, a little under 70%, 69.5% saw the declaration of martial law by the president as an insurrection or treason. 내란. And by the way, this poll had a 95% rate of confidence with plus or minus 4.4% margin of error.
Yes. So this is the latest, according to one major poll. The biggest question we still have, I think, collectively individually, just generally, is why. Why? Why did the president decide to declare martial law when the opposition-led parliament obviously had enough votes to lift it right away?
Right. And as Professor Kim Byung-ju said yesterday, that is only something that the president and a handful of his closest advisors will ever know. But we are getting some reports that have substantiated speculation about this.
Okay.
So this is a exclusive report by 중앙일보, which quoted a high-ranking People Power Party individual who said that the president did and would frequently say, should I just impose martial law? Just kind of in passing.
Yes,
and
yes.
the direct quote, and I think because that nuance is important, 확 계엄해버릴까?
Really?
And that was his direct quote, at least quoted by this newspaper.
Okay.
So perhaps spontaneous was kind of the hint that was coming out of it. So once again, as I said, only he and a handful of advisors will ever know. But we also have another important question on the who these advisors may have been. Because we look to the Martial Law Command, 계엄사령부, formed by the president, and that group is now being called this second 하나회. So what is 하나회 for people who are not familiar with Korean contemporary history? For background, 하나회, the Hana group, was a private, kind of secret group of elite military officers. This took place between 1963 and I believe 1992 or 93 when it was disbanded. These were officers who graduated from the Korea Military Academy, 육군사관학교. This was formed under the military regime. So who are some of the most famous members? 전두환 and 노태우. And this 하나회 was the group that backed them up in the December 12th military coup after the death of President Park Chung-hee. That's the story dealt with in the film December 10th, the day.
Yes.
서울의 봄. So as to why the military command from this week is being called that,
Yes.
similarity to the very close-knit secretive network. Because one high school that's been named
Yes.
to kind of the despair of the current students and even the principal issued a statement is Chungam High School in Seoul and going back to the military academy, the Yuksa.
Okay.
So President Yoon Sung-yeol, he didn't go to the military academy, obviously, but he did go to Chungam High School. Along with the the martial law commander, 계엄사령관 Park An-soo, the army chief of staff, whose A class is younger than the now resigned defense minister, Kim Yong-hyun from the high school and the military academy.
Yes, yes.
The vice commander of the martial law command, Jung Jin-pal, who's the vice chairman of the Joint Chiefs, also from the military academy. Another key figure in the command, Yeo In-hyung from Chungam High School as well. So this whole group of people from the same high school to the academy. One person is completely missing from the martial law command and the name of individuals I just mentioned, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, the top military ranked Kim Myung-soo, who's not from the military academy Yuksa because he has a naval background.
Right.
And some people say this is apparently why he may have been excluded. He reportedly did not know that the president would declare martial law, and he also found out kind of with the news.
Yes. So it's right now everybody's scrambling to find out who knew what, when, who was in that so-called very, very inner circle, and of course awaiting word from the person himself as to why.
Right.
All right. Well, that's a wrap for the news. So thank you for that, Haley. And by the way, to switch gears just a little bit and going back to the waivers, there was a picture and a message sent from Jin Lee waiver, and she sent in this really colorful photo of what she says is 두부, 당근, 계란. And we have it. The visuals on our YouTube channel right now. 요즘 가족 아침 식사예요. Wow, that looks so healthy. And actually, I love all the ingredients. I never thought of putting them together into one. But that does look awfully healthy and delicious at the same time. So thank you for sending in that photo. And I'll be back with Kat's Pick in just a moment. For today's Cat's Pick, I want to focus on the people, how people have been responding ever since the declaration of the martial law. And yes, we know that it was lifted very quickly, but the aftermath continues. So here's a clip from ABC News Australia.
Protesters have gathered en masse in Seoul for the second night as the chaos from South Korea's short-lived martial law decree continues. Now, these are live pics from Seoul where you can see the protesters I was just talking about gathering. These gatherings are, of course, in response to the events of the last 24 to 48 hours. The demonstrations we are seeing there, protesters holding candles, flags being flown, and speeches that are being made. These are largely peaceful protests in the South Korean capital. Now, impeachment proceedings have been tabled in Parliament for President Yoon Suk-yeol after his shock declaration on Tuesday night. But now his ruling People Power Party says it will oppose the motion. And let's go back to Seoul now, where a mass demonstration is taking place in the South Korean capital in the aftermath of the martial law being declared by the president. What's the mood like on the streets of Seoul? You are at the protest site over the moves to impeach President Yoon well in motion.
Well, this is the third night in a row that South Koreans have come out to protest about the President Yoon Suk-yeol's actions. Now, of course, on Tuesday night, he made this bizarre decision to call martial law, and within 6 hours, he had lifted it after the Parliament voted against it. Now, you can see behind me that there are hundreds, if not maybe 1,000, 2,000 people who've been here tonight for a couple of hours now. They're singing songs, they're chanting war cries saying impeach Yoon Suk-yeol. So it is a really intense atmosphere at the moment. People feel very strongly, and strangely, it really feels like the president has gone to ground. It was expected that he would probably address the nation today, but we had no such address, and really everyone's just waiting to hear from him so he can explain himself.
So as you heard in that clip, by the way, this broadcaster was filming in Seoul, but obviously the protests were not only in Seoul, they were definitely in other parts of the country, including here in Busan. So this was Cat's Pick for today.
Stay tuned. You're listening to Morning Wave in Busan.
It is now time for Casey and Foreign Press Highlights.
Good morning.
Are you okay?
No.
Were you in a rush?
Yeah. Are my eyes red? I'm sick.
Oh, you're sick?
Yeah. At the beginning.
No.
Everybody be healthy.
Yes, that's the main tenor, the main theme for today, being healthy.
Is it?
It is.
I knew that.
Yes, because you were paying attention, right?
That's right.
Okay, so do you have any healthy but yummy food or dishes that you like to consume? Because I know you and I are both like big gosu fans, right?
Yes.
Right.
I just chopped some the other day to throw in ramyun.
And ramen.
I'm saying. I'm just saying.
We need a mic on her. She's like, okay, this was my producer's reaction. Here we go. She's doing
I'd
this
give you the brand
off
name
air,
too.
and
I
like,
would.
that was her reaction.
Yeah. So good. Throw it right in there.
She has that, what is it, the genetic like thing, the mutation, I don't want to call it mutation, but the adversion.
Right, yeah. They say it's like roughly 50% of the population.
Aversion to coriander or cilantro.
That's
I
too
am
bad.
definitely in the other, we're in the other boat.
We know.
We throw cilantro in everything, into everything.
Yes.
Everything.
Breakfast cereal. Come on.
Yes, that's right. All right, so let's get into some stories about Korea from the perspective of foreign outlets. May I take a guess?
Come on.
Of what you brought? I didn't even take a look at.
It's all about gosu.
No, it's definitely not. It's about What happened?
This week.
Yes.
For some reason that was the major story around the world this week, of course, right? So we all know that this is like the big story, and there's so many different international outlets that reported about this. So I kind of figured maybe I would take a look at kind of like a kaleidoscope of what people reported about the martial law declaration.
Sure.
And one of the big stories actually here in South Korea that I was informed by some colleagues and I had no idea about, but has been picked up since. We'll go for the BBC article of this. And the headline is, "We had to stop this. Woman who grabbed South Korean soldier's gun speaks to the BBC." And they do feature the video as well.
William asked about this very story.
Okay.
So we're addressing it. He asked, what happened? I think it was William or somebody asked yesterday, like, what happened to that woman that like kind of grabbed the gun?
Yeah.
And so now, have you seen it, Waivers, by the way?
Yeah. Have you seen it?
I have, and we have a visual. This kind of, wow.
Sometimes he's like,
Pictures,
one picture will say a lot. Yeah, right.
Says volumes.
Right.
Of
just it kind of gives you an idea of like what the scene was like. Just having the wherewithal, or perhaps just lack of fear to grab a gun because you're upset with what's happening. I can't imagine being in that situation. So basically, what this article does is puts the readers in there, and just kind of tries to explain her mindset, the background of what was going on and why she decided to do what she was doing. So basically, they did say in the BBC that a lot of attention has been paid to this. What happened was, her name is An Gi-ryung, and she's 35. She's a spokesperson for the opposition Democratic Party. And as has been seen widely around the internet, she basically grabbed the weapon of a soldier during a commotion. And she said, "I didn't think, I just knew we had to stop this." She was talking with the BBC Korean service. She said, to give kind of background to what led to that, she made her way to the assembly building as the soldiers were coming to the assembly building. This was all shortly after the martial law declaration, and like a lot of people in the younger generation here in South Korea, she said the word martial law was like completely foreign to her. She had no kind of, recollection of what that was in 1979. When she first heard the news, she said a sense of panic took over. And I can't imagine, if I were panicking, I think the last thing I would think to do would be grab a gun. I would probably turn around and run, personally.
I mean, that is just to show you, I think.
Right.
I think most people in, like you just said, would not think to be so confrontational.
No.
I would not call someone a coward that saw, a soldier with a gun, forces with a gun, walking or running in the opposite direction.
We can't imagine what we would do.
Fight or flee.
Right.
I think fleeing is justifiable, but in this case, she did not flee.
And
she stood her ground.
Basically, she kind of, throughout the article, she kind of gave her explanation. And a big part of it is the background. So basically, right after the declaration of martial law, I think this has already been widely reported, but just to kind of give you an idea of what was happening and why she would do what she did, the opposition leader, Lee Jae-myung, called on the lawmakers to gather there at the National Assembly to hold the vote to annul the declaration. So there's this like rush to get there. And people, people who believe that that's the right thing to do, they're obviously in a big panic to get there, because if they are caught there, they're arrested without a warrant. That's how martial law works.
Yes.
So when An arrived at the building, it was just past like 11 p.m. locally here. She remembers turning off the office lights because there were helicopters circling overhead. And then by the time she got to the main building, that's when soldiers were already starting to engage in a standoff with officials, other congressional aides like herself, and just citizens. And she said, "When I saw the armed soldiers, I felt like I was witnessing the regression of history." So basically, her and her colleagues, they were desperate to prevent the soldiers from entering the main building where the vote would be held.
Okay.
They locked revolving doors from the inside. They piled up furniture, other heavy objects in front of the doors. So you can kind of get an idea of the scene.
Wow.
Right. Amazing, right?
I mean, once again, at the moment, nobody knew at the time that the martial law, the declaration, that it would be lifted so quickly.
No, there was no indication
we had no
whatsoever.
Clue, so, yes. So what else was said about the story?
So she said, the military started advancing. She stepped forward, and that's what you see in the video and then that still photo as well. She said, "Honestly, I was scared at first, but seeing such a confrontation, I thought I can't stay silent." And I was like, yeah, that's like that's just one of those situations you can't imagine what you would do personally unless you were in that situation.
Yeah,
you would
and
never know.
Even for me, because, I wasn't in Korea during what happened last time with the martial law.
1979.
Yes,
Right.
and then like Haley, like on our group chat, she wrote, "Oh my gosh," and then she wrote like "계엄" something, and then I felt stupid, but I had to ask, "What is 계엄?" Like, 계엄, like I've never heard of this word.
Right. Why would you know?
So
Why would you know?
She's like, "It's martial law," and then she's like, "Turn on the TV," so I did, and that's when like all heck was breaking loose, literally live in front of all our eyes. It was a collective kind of like, I think, doom and gloom. And like, I'm sure for people who experienced it though, last time around, like having a knot in their stomach, I'm sure because of the memories.
Yep. For sure. And she said, even after all this was over, after the martial law declaration was lifted, she said she was still a little scared to even go outside. In the morning, there didn't seem to be any taxis, and she said, it was hard to get back to reality. So when she was actually talking to the BBC, she was wearing the same stuff she had been wearing the night before.
I see.
And she was just kind of overcome with emotion talking to them. She said, it's heartbreaking and frustrating that this is happening in 21st century Korea. So just to give you an idea of what it felt like to be at the scene.
Yes. So this was from the perspective of somebody captured in that footage.
Right.
Well, thanks for at least bring this story, so now we know who she is. Everybody was wondering. So do you have another related story?
Yeah, it's actually kind of another kind of simple illustration, photo-wise, of what it was like to perhaps be on the other side of this issue. So this is from Yahoo News from the UK. And the headline for this is "Soldier Bows and Says I'm Sorry as Martial Law Ended." And this is another video that has made the rounds on the internet.
Indeed.
And it's been picked up by international reports as well. And so I believe we have another picture of this one too that you'll probably see.
Yes.
So basically, as we had the story of the congressional aide who's there and is doing what she thinks is the right thing to do at that moment. And then you have soldiers there being
We're under order, by the way.
Under order,
yes.
Yeah. And so the big reason that this is such an impactful story is because very simply in a video image that's been shared, one of the soldiers that was at the National Assembly, as they're being basically retreating from the National Assembly, as they're being ordered back, one of the soldiers takes the time to bow and apologize to a journalist named Ho Jae-yeon as they're retreating from the assembly. And in the footage, it's very short. There is like a long, 10-minute clip as well that you can see, but you don't need to see that much to understand what was happening here. Basically, they had been almost kind of having a back and forth, the reporter and the soldier.
Yes.
The reporter said he's an investigative reporter, and he had kind of been chasing soldiers. So there's this moment where they kind of cross paths, and the soldier just suddenly, he's looks directly at the reporter, starts bowing his head repeatedly, and in Korean saying, "I'm sorry." And then, talking to the news about it, the reporter said, when he looked at his clear eyes behind his glasses, all my anger disappeared, and I felt endless sorrow and gratitude at the same time. In that short moment, he bowed once, twice, 3 times to me, and I had been chasing him. And when he had said sorry, I felt his sincerity. His sincerity seemed to say that we're on the same side of democracy.
And so you might have seen the clip also on our feed as well, on our YouTube channel, where he is, it's not just once, it's repeatedly bowing his head, saying, 네, 죄송합니다, or whatever that it was said.
Yeah, and he added a little bit more that wasn't translated in English, which basically I think he was kind of also saying thanking the citizens for not being peaceful, or for keeping it peaceful as well.
Not escalating things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Well, we are thankful for you bringing in this perspective of foreign media outlets and the fact that we have the freedom to, talk about this story.
Important to talk about and to kind of share all sides of the situation that have been going on, for sure.
Indeed. So thank you for that. And we'll make sure to check in with you next week. Thank you, Casey.
All right.
All right. Well, we have more coming up in hour number 2, including our 2 special interviews. One is about the economic impact, the fallout of this martial law, and secondly, about vitamins and health. So stay tuned for that. Here is our final song for hour number 1. This is 달라 달라 by ITZY, as requested by Benny.
appliances that you're not currently using.
Number 3. Check the heater is off before leaving the house. Leaving it on for an extended period of time can cause a fire.
Let's all take part in preventing fire and have warm and safe winter this year.
Tune into BEFM 부산영어방송 for an emergency broadcast.
This campaign is brought to you by BEFM 부산영어방송.
지역 경제가 힘차게 출발합니다. 기업들이 고객을 향해 더 빨리 가려면 방송 광고라는 X를 밟으세요. 경제도 기업도 더 힘차게 달려가니까요. 방송 광고의 작은 힘, 경제의 큰 힘입니다. 부산 방송광고발전협의회.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
Good morning, Dynamic Busan.
Yeah, you're waking up. Time to shake it up. Tell the world good morning and find out what's going on.
Well, hi there, folks. There's everything from comedy to lively chat to music.
Broadcasting from a room about the size of your closet.
All calls are recorded. What show is this?
Live from Korea's dynamic city, this is Morning Wave in Busan.
I'm sorry, who'd you say you were?
It is now 8 o'clock and this is News Highlights. National Assembly to vote on impeachment against Yoon tomorrow. The main opposition Democratic Party, or DP, said yesterday it will vote on the impeachment motion against President Yoon Suk-yeol tomorrow over his declaration of martial law. The police have opened an investigation into charges that Yoon committed treason by declaring martial law. The complaints were filed by the Rebuilding Korea Party and activists and have been assigned to the security investigation team under the National Office of Investigation. In the meantime, citizens gathered around the country for the second consecutive night, calling on Yoon to step down. National Assembly seeks to impeach chief auditor and top prosecutors. The opposition-controlled parliament yesterday passed impeachment motions against Board of Audit and Inspection BAI Chair Choi Jae-hae, Chief of Seoul Central Prosecutor's Office Lee Chang-soo, and 2 prosecutors. The impeachment surrounds their roles in investigations related to the relocation of the presidential office and First Lady Kim Gun-hee. All 4 will be suspended from their duties until the Constitutional Court rules on their impeachment. It is the first time a BAI chief has been impeached by Parliament. Ex-defense minister placed under travel ban amid treason charges. The prosecution imposed a travel ban on former defense minister Kim Yong-hyun, pending an investigation into charges of treason for his role in the martial law declaration. Kim said that he proposed President Yoon to declare martial law earlier this week. Kim has since resigned, accepting responsibility for the incident. Yoon has accepted his resignation and named Ambassador to Saudi Arabia Choi Byung-hyuk as Kim's replacement. Railway workers' strike continues while Seoul subway unions reach deal. The railway workers' walkout continues for the second day today as some train and subway lines experienced delays and cancellations yesterday. Meanwhile, the 3 Seoul subway workers' unions reached a last-minute deal early this morning and withdrew their strike plans. The Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport said that subway and train operation rate reached 77% of normal levels yesterday, and KORAIL went into an emergency transport mode by mobilizing all available personnel and resources. The workers and KORAIL have reached an impasse in their negotiations for better pay and additional staff. The strike marks the first walkout since September 2023. "11 test takers receive a perfect score on 2025 CSAT. 11 test takers achieved perfect scores in all subjects on the 2025 College Scholastic Ability Test, known as 수능, 10 more than last year, according to the Korea Institute for Curriculum and Evaluation. So the Korean language and math sections of the exam turned out to be much easier this year than last year, with more than 1,000 perfect scores in each. All test takers will receive their results today. Bitcoin surges past $100,000 for first time. The price of Bitcoin has for the first time broken past the $100,000 mark, boosted by hopes of crypto-friendly policies under the incoming Donald Trump administration. The milestone was reached hours after Trump said he would nominate for Securities and Exchange Commission SEC Commissioner former Paul Atkins to run the Wall Street regulator. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell also said that Bitcoin is a competitor of gold, which stoked optimism that Bitcoin may be included in mainstream financial institutions. And this was News Highlights. Listeners, before we dive into wa글와글 with Haley, I have some interesting, healthy but yummy recipes from our listeners. So, you be the judge if this sounds good. Okay, I'm just going to read. I am the messenger. Here we go. And this is the position that our producer, 우리 PD님이 이렇게 듣고 있습니다. Like she's like saying, try me, 들어와, right? Okay, here we go. So, Taejin Waver says this, hard-boiled eggs and salt. Healthy?
Can my
Yummy?
mic be? Is my mic on? Tetsun, I really like you. You're a great guy, but
Vasana outside is giving us a thumbs up.
But,
he agrees.
Like, really?
제 마약 계란을 안 먹어보셔서 그래요. 소금하고 계란은 healthy? Yummy? I don't know about that. I don't know.
I mean, as I'm gonna munch down on my hard-boiled eggs outside after this segment.
But is it yummy?
No, I look miserable munching them down because I'm just like, ugh.
How about this one? Okay, next. Jin Lee sent us another one. Not just the beautiful photo of, the tofu, the carrots, and the eggs. Sliced and deep-fried lotus root.
But then isn't that cheating?
Sliced 연근 튀김?
아니, 튀김.
Sorry, was that too like?
아니, 선생님, 튀김.
튀김? Is that healthy?
Yeah.
But it's... The lotus is
great. 연근's great.
너무
All
맛있어요.
root vegetables are great.
I love 연근, but I don't know about the team. Okay, 최윤중 Waver says this. 김치 된장국, 김치물에 씻어서 된장 그리고 쌀뜨물. Oh, the rice water.
Yeah.
Right? That comes when you
rinse the rice.
Yes. 아니면 물, 멸치 육수 코인 3-4개, 파 다진 마늘. So that's a doable recipe, with the doenjang and with the anchovy broth. And you can use those I use the coins too.
Concentrated, the coin. Yeah, the stalks.
So easy. The stock, it's good to go. Throw in 3 of those, add some green onions and minced garlic.
Soups are such a great way to fill up,
you.
and then you
gotta
get
be
fiber
careful.
and yeah.
This one sounds healthy and delicious.
With the sodium. I mean, if you see us kind of puffy in the morning, we definitely had. Yeah, we had some salty.
Right. How about this? Layla Waver says 토달복.
I love it. 토달복. 토마토 달걀 볶음.
That sounds pretty yummy. Okay, this next one, I love this. Okay, 정윤경, cabbage steak with broccoli and tomato 버터 조금 구운 양배추 steak. 양배추 steak, I love. The problem is, I make this, I'm good. Okay, I'm going to brag a little. I'm good at making sauces and dressings, but 저는 이렇게 막 아끼지 않는 스타일이에요. 막 팍팍, as 고수 said, 때려 넣어요. Like all the good stuff, right? 때려 넣어서 근데 그 소스가 너무, according to my family, 너무 맛있어서 문제가 그 양배추 steak 할 때, like you're supposed to drizzle.
And we just dump.
Yeah, it's just like
때려 넣어.
때려 넣어. I love it. And Leslie says Ratatouille from the film Ratatouille. Ratatouille. 그리고 a lot of people, my students, they thought Ratatouille was the name of the rat. No, it's a play on words, but Ratatouille is
What's
a dish.
What's the rat's name? Anyways. Not important.
It starts with a...
It is. It is, though. So let us know.
If you know
Please
the rat's name from Ratatouille, let us know. Now we got to jump into some serious waggle-worthy stories. So here we go.
All right.
Another round of martial law related issues that have riled people up, but in a different way than maybe we may imagine.
All right. So can we all collectively, we're good people most of the times, agree not to use national crises for personal gain? Can we just, as humanity, can we promise that?
Yes.
Because one online shopping mall or an app sent an ad targeting customers just in time for martial law. That was basically the wording.
Yes.
So this was titled, this little alert from the shopping mall app was 계엄령 대비 생필품 주문 timing. Basically, it's time to order, stock up on everyday items because you need to prepare for martial law. It's like, ooh.
Really?
Yeah, they're like, so check the items in your cart. So it turns out it's not from the shopping mall, but from an app which tells users about major discounts from hundreds of thousands of items.
That's in poor taste.
One app developer who sent this message to the users. Once controversy spread, the developers said they did contemplate whether to send the message or not for about 20 minutes, but thought it would be fun, was the wording.
재밌어요?
재밌을 것, 즐거울 것 같아서 to send the message. Didn't think this would be that big of an issue, but let's just say there's nothing fun about martial law. There just isn't.
There's just no joking about it any which way.
I feel like the explanation made it worse.
Yes.
But here it is.
Yeah, and that's why we're talking about it. We have outed the person who sent the message. All right. This next story is about the local lawmaker who fully supported martial law. So this is the same person that we discussed yesterday, right?
It's an update from yesterday.
Yes.
Very briefly, the city councilman representing Gijang County, Park Jong-chul, he posted a message, quick recap, saying that he fully supports martial law and he's going to go up to Seoul the day after. But when the martial law was struck down, he said he was dejected. So people were asking, were you dejected that the martial law happened at all or that it was struck down? So he explained via social media that the dejection he felt was in frustration over this political extremism without compromise, cooperation, and discussion. He did say he said he does not support martial law, which he added was illegal and unconstitutional, and apologized for the not very well thought out kind of misphrased message.
But was it?
Although he did say he supported martial law when it was declared. So I'll let you be the judge of that.
Yes. All right, let's move on to this story. I just mentioned it, in news highlights. Bitcoin hitting $100,000 for the first time, that milestone. Many people are lamenting, meaning crying, woe is me, about not having bought Bitcoin a few years ago.
But then, okay, I'm not to get joy off of someone else's misfortune, but how about this guy who unknowingly threw away massive amounts of Bitcoin?
What? How can you?
But I'm like, Bitcoin's,
they're not actual
real
coins.
I mean, it's real, but it's not like physical. So how does one throw it away?
Yes.
Well, you throw away the hard drive. Yeah. So
can we go where do you throw away the hard
He's trying.
drive?
There's a lawsuit.
Okay.
So it's a doozy.
Okay.
So this is a British man, Mr. James Howells. He mined 8,000 Bitcoins back in 2009. But it's long gone with the hard drive buried in the land. Are you doing that? I did the multiplication for you.
Lady, the math.
Wait,
how much is that?
Because math is so easy when it's all zeros. Because it's $100,000 per Bitcoin.
And I'm doing the math.
I had to do that. And I was like, you should pick someone. It's $800 million. Or 1.1 trillion won.
Wow.
By the way, who threw it away?
Who?
It was, his ex-girlfriend. The mother of his two sons. He told her to throw it away because I don't know if it's post-breakup or during their relationship.
I started sweating.
I know. I was like,
it's not even my Bitcoin.
Is she okay? Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah.
under his instructions
Right.
or request,
Right.
she threw away
The hard drive. And, she said, quote, a bunch of junk just in the house, and he told her to throw it away because he obviously forgot that he mined Bitcoin in 2009.
So if this is 10 years ago, a decade ago, she threw it away. I mean, what can you do about it? You think like, you're not going to go to the landfill and try to find it, are you?
Oh, he's trying.
Oh, he is?
He's trying. So,
Oh.
I mean, the point is you can cry about it or you can do something about it. He is suing about it. Who, right? It's not the girlfriend, ex-girlfriend. He petitioned Newport City in the UK to let him excavate, not dig through, but because it's been 10 years, excavate the landfill, 굴착기. But the council has consistently denied the request because there are environmental issues with digging up trash, literally.
But if I had $800 million, that might be... I don't know. I
Well,
would
that's
try.
the deal. That was because, well, number one, we don't know if he's ever going to find it.
Yes.
Right. And also, it's kind of private money. So it's just a whole thing.
Yes.
He's suing the Newport City Council for, get this.
How much?
495 million pounds.
Which is like?
Or 885 billion won. 8,800억. Something more plus, accusing them of blocking access to the landfill. And he says the value is growing every day. This was my favorite part, this last bit. His ex, the woman who threw away the hard drive at his request, also mother of his two sons, she says she really hopes he finds it, but she doesn't want a penny of it. She just wants him to stop talking about it.
She wants him to shut up, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, yeah. I understand both sides, though.
I do.
If
I understand all three sides with the lady and the guy and the city council.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a doozy. Okay. Well, for our final story, one of the fundamentals of life, we can't deny water.
All right. Rapid fire. Still or sparkling?
Still.
Okay. And then tap, bottle, or water filter?
Water filter.
Okay. All right.
I did filter and bottled water filter.
And then when you make ramen, do you use tap water or like filtered water?
Filtered.
Interesting.
Why am I not supposed to?
Oh, no, I don't care.
Okay.
I don't care.
Why are you asking me all these
Because I don't.
Oh, you don't?
Yeah. So there's no right answer, but
Okay.
there is a majority.
Oh,
and the
there is,
majority
okay.
is tap water.
Oh.
Right. So this is according to the Environment Survey on the state of drinking tap water, 수돗물 먹는 실태 조사, over 70,000 households. Interestingly, for drinking water, like 마시는 물, 38% said that they straight up drink tap water. Or they drink it but boil it and then cool it down.
Okay, I was going to say... But
both. It's both.
Okay,
they
both.
drink tap water. Some drink it out of the tap. Some boil it. This is a near 2% increase from 2 years ago. And then, but when cooking... Much more. 66% said that they use tap water for cooking.
Oh, okay.
40% filtered water, 13% bottled water. But what's really interesting is it's basically the soups and tea. I know it's not. Don't yell at me. But soups and tea, they're basically the same thing. It's boiled when you look at the water, right? Because it's boiled water. It's just one has more vegetables and seasoning. The other one has a tea bag.
Yeah.
Is it not? But then when 66% use tap water for cooking,
yes,
but only 47% use for tap water when drinking coffee or tea.
Huh? Why?
Yeah. I mean, by the way,
people.
I do the same thing. I will use tap water when I'm cooking, but I do use filtered water for tea or coffee. But I'm like, coffee is just coffee soup if you think about it. It's a weird way of thinking about it.
I just use tap water. I mean, I use filtered water for cooking, for drinking.
Yeah.
For pretty much everything.
So people, there are some safety concerns, not with the water itself. The biggest was with pipes. Because
with
pipes
the
are old and they can leak, have minerals and debris. So many people did say that they saw a need for improvement with water management and for local governments to replace old pipes. So that's where we stand.
Interesting. So where do you stand, waivers out there? 수돗물 그냥 직접 마시는지 아니면 음식하실 때 do you use the 수돗물 or the filtered 정수기물?
I don't know, but I'm going to go drink my coffee soup now.
Coffee soup. Love it. And by the way, Remy.
Oh, thank you.
Ratatouille,
Remy.
main character, Remy. Thank you. I knew Leslie would know. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. And we'll check in with you on Monday. Have a good weekend.
Have a great weekend.
All right. Now back to you, the waivers. Time for your updated traffic and weather. It's time for our updated traffic report. There is an accident on 충렬대로 from the 알락드란테 intersection to the Wondong interchange intersection right before the Wondong intersection. So please be careful of that area. Be aware of it. There's also some backup on 중앙대로 from 소정천 intersection to Yunsan Tunnel. And also traffic building on 가야대로 from Daenjeong Station to Jure intersection. It is currently 7 degrees Celsius here in Santam. Is expected to go up to just 11. And you know what? It's going to get colder during the weekend. Tomorrow, and expect a low of 2, a high of 9. But on Sunday, even lower, a low of 1 degree Celsius and a high of 7 degrees. So it's going to get chilly over the weekend. However, it's going to be clear skies. This was your updated traffic and weather. So looking at some of your responses, we've been talking about, health, healthy and delicious food and forms of workout. The exercise part, I've been reading some of your messages. Climbing stairs, like in your apartment, apparently is a very common thing. It's a common thread that I've been seeing through many of your messages. And I do want to give a shout out to anybody who's in California, Oregon area. I know that there was a big earthquake. Yes, it was not on land. It was, undersea, but still, the first thing I did this morning before I did anything, I sent a message to William to see how he's doing just in case. And he assures us that he is fine. Everybody's doing well, including Lily. Send in a photographic proof of that. And we're going to get to now our first of 2 interviews. Our coverage continues of this martial law declaration and, of course, the lifting of that martial law. And there are clear political ramifications, still a little fuzzy in some respects as to what's going to happen. But we do know that the impeachment motion seems to be going forward. However, there are other issues to discuss. We discussed the diplomatic aftermath yesterday and how the international community, what it thinks of South Korea's democracy as well. But what about the economy? The economic factor. Well, let's delve into this with our resident economic expert. We have Professor Yang Jun-seok, Professor of Economics at the Catholic University of Korea. He's back on the airwaves with us. Hi, Professor. How are you?
Good morning.
Yes.
Fine, thank you.
Great. So, this whole martial law declaration really is causing lots of anxiety for people. So, some people reportedly buying like emergency food supplies, showing you that they really do feel anxious. So, in your opinion, though, Professor, how does anxiety overall affect the economy?
Well, it paralyzes the economy. So you talked about consumers. What they do is when future becomes very uncertain, availability of goods may be affected, then they start hoarding, but they hoard necessities. And in a crisis, cash will be king. So they start to hoard necessities, hoard cash, but restrict purchases of non-necessities, and that restricts spending, and that brings down the economy. But some similar things happen with businesses and banks as well. Banks get nervous about whether they can lend, and these people who borrow the money can pay them back. Companies as well, are they going to be able to sell the stuff that they make? So we see banks restricting lending, credit crunch. We see the companies not producing goods. It can potentially bring the entire economy into a paralysis, but luckily that's not going to happen. Not only is the martial law over, but if you think about it, it came after working hours, fairly late at night. It ended fairly early in the morning before the working day started. So no production and exports were affected. No political leaders or labor leaders were arrested. Factories and workplaces were not shut down. Nobody was killed or even hurt.
Yes.
Except maybe some few windows in the National Assembly got broken. And so there's basically no effect on real economy, production, or exports. Now, it will have some effect on the financial sector because they work on expectations, they work on political stability. It will have some problems if the political conflict becomes big enough and if the government falls into paralysis of its own because all the top leaders are paying all of their attention to the aftermath, the investigations, and the impeachment hearings. But so far, because nothing major happened, thank goodness.
Yes.
We should see things going back to relative normality, but not complete normality because, well, we did have this big shock in the system.
Indeed, indeed. And so what about people who are worried that this, the fallout after this shockwave, that it may affect demand and also even consumer prices? So are you thinking that it's not going to have a huge impact?
Well, it's going to have an additional effect. Let's put it this way.
Okay.
Korea has been experiencing an economic slowdown. Korea has been experiencing perhaps inflation has been going down, but it may have been going down too quickly.
Yes.
Into categories like manufactured goods, the last monthly figures show that the prices were only going up by about 1% for manufactured goods. And while some people may not think so, that's actually a bit too low. It may signal the oncoming recession, possibly. And this will not make that situation better. Now, all the problems that Korea had in the past before the martial law, we still have it. So things will be slowing down. We will have perhaps more problems in the economy, but this came on top of that. So it acts as one more additional negative factors. But to quote Donald Rumsfeld, you have unknown risk and you have known risk. The martial law was an unknown risk, so that was really scary because we did not know how it's going to go. We did not have martial law for 45 years, and back then Korea was a developing country, so we've never really been in that situation before, but luckily that situation is over. Now we will have political conflict, we will have impeachment hearings, but this is a known risk. Sad to say, we've been through this before more than once. So people will have some kind of guidepost. We can make reasonable assumptions. We can plan for it. So it's becoming a known risk, which does not mean it's no risk. But at least now it's somewhat predictable and understandable and perhaps hopefully controllable.
Well, one of our listeners commenting, kind of questioning how this may affect Korea's reputation on a credit level. We're talking about like a credit ratings from these international agencies around the world. Is that going to take a hit at all?
Okay, well, sovereign credit ratings are usually made for national bonds, the amount that the government borrows. And it depends on whether the government can pay the money back. Now, if you remember, United States had the credit ratings lowered U.S. ratings, not because they did not have the ability to pay their money back, but because political problems were delaying the interest rate payments, possibly. So politics matters, but so far, Korea has always paid back its debt. Korea does have the capacity to pay back its debt, and Korean National Assemblymen and the government bureaucrats have been very good about scheduling payments. And right now, Korea does have the capacity to pay it back. So even S&P representative has said that they do not expect changes in Korea's credit rating. And I expect that the government officials and National Assemblymen does recognize the need to continue to budget the interest repayments and the principal repayments. But if political problems get bad enough, if the government is paralyzed enough, then I do see potential for lowering the sovereign credit rating, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, that's definitely reassuring to hear. So as we wrap up our interview today, Professor, short-term, long-term projections, once again, even if it is to reassure and allay the fears of our listeners, the people out there, in a nutshell, what would you say?
Okay, short term, in terms of growth rates,
yes,
it's not going to affect much. The year's almost over anyway. As I said, nothing in the real economy was touched by martial law. Financial side in the short run, it's going to have a lot of volatility because there still is political uncertainty. We don't know exactly what's going to happen, but it's not going to be as bad as a lot of people fear because, again, this has now become a known risk, something that we've experienced before.
Yes.
Now, for the long term, what's going to happen will depend a lot on how bad the political conflict is going to be, how bad government paralysis is going to be. Now, Korea real economy does depend a lot on government.
Sure.
Korean government does have a lot of perhaps too much influence on various businesses. So if the government paralysis becomes too great, if the political conflict just blots out all other issues and it freezes every other issues, then there's potentially a lower growth rate for next year, as well as continued volatility in the stock market. But it'll be an additional factor that's making the economy slow down. We already, even before the martial law, we had a lot of problems in the Korean economy.
Sure.
This becomes one more problem, but it's going to be, hopefully it'll be manageable and controllable.
Yes, indeed. We're, of course, going to continue to follow this facet of the story. But thank you so much for joining us today, and take care, Professor.
Thank you.
This is Professor Yang Jun-seok, and we talked about the economic impact that the martial law declaration may have. And in the future, we're going to continue to watch this story, of course. And I'll be back with our second special interview.
Get your local up-to-date news from Korea and abroad right here on Morning Wave in Busan with Catherine. Stay tuned.
And for our second special interview, we're going to focus on something that I think here in Korea, a lot of people take. Well, first, let me set the backdrop. This is definitely the onset of the cold and flu season, and many people probably wonder, do vitamins and supplements help me stay healthy? That's what you might be wondering. So these types of products are quite popular, especially here in Korea, vitamins and supplements. And experts emphasize that a nutrient-rich diet, meaning the food you eat, is often much more effective in supporting a healthy immune system. So let's find out more about vitamins and minerals. Do they really help us stay healthy? Are they worth it? We have invited Dr. Joan Salji-Blake, author of Nutrition and You, who is also a clinical professor at Boston University. She's on air with us right now. Hi, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So first of all, we want to know about vitamins, vitamin supplements. How effective are they if we had to compare them to getting, the nutrients through the traditional, food method, that route?
Right. Well, you know something, you never mess with Mother Nature. And Mother Nature will not only give you all the vitamins and minerals that you need, but they also have an added benefit. So, for example, you need vitamin C for a healthy immune system. So, you take a supplement, but really, if you get it from food like citrus fruits, you not only get the vitamin C, but you're going to get potassium, which could help lower high blood pressure. And you're also going to get soluble fiber that can help lower the bad LDL cholesterol. So you're getting like 3 for the price of 1 for going with the fruit.
Yes. Thanks for really laying it down for us from the get-go. So what are some of the most common misconceptions about vitamins and their role in supporting health, especially, during the winter season when, so many people get sick with the common cold or with the flu?
Right. You need to have a healthy diet. And for some people, they may not be able to get all the nutrients they need from their food. Okay, then that's where supplements can supplement their diet. But for going into this, you have to have a healthy diet. We know that, we need good vitamin C, we need zinc, we need vitamin A for a healthy immune system. You can easily get all of those from your food. But if you're, looking to take a supplement to, say, reduce the risk of getting a common cold, that's really not, the science is not there to back it up. Mm-hmm. And we have research to suggest that, taking 200 milligrams or more of vitamin C doesn't really prevent the common cold in general population. But a supplement may help people who are very vigorous, like marathon runners, endurance runners. That a supplement of 200 milligrams or more may help them because they're very, very vigorous. But for a general population, it's not going to prevent the common cold.
Good to know. Well, maybe you can share with us some specific foods that might be particularly beneficial for boosting the immune system during the winter months?
Right. So your immune system needs a well-balanced diet. You need proteins, you need vitamins and minerals. So you're really not going to boost it, but if you want to make sure you get accurate amounts of it. So let's go back to those vitamin C. So we said the citrus foods, berries. You want to get any kind of orange or grapefruit type of juices. Vitamin A, your immune system loves vitamin A. So think deep orange like pumpkin and cantaloupe or winter squash. Yes. I love the way you say because they are delicious and a delicious way to get your nutrient needs. So again, it's looking at making sure you have enough fruits and vegetables and whole grains in your diet, some lean protein sources and dairy, so that you get all of the nutrients that your body needs to keep you well.
Yes. And so for people, though, doctor, who might be really busy or might have limited access to fresh produce, or as one of our listeners points out, unfortunately, the price of fruits and vegetables does make it harder for lower income people and the elderly who might be like on unlimited income to get what you're saying, that what we need, the variety and a very healthy, rich diet, then if we had to, though, can they not help us a little bit, these types of vitamins or supplements?
Well, I'm going to tell you something.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you, you've got good news, because you can get frozen fruits and vegetables, which are about, 50% less than fresh, or canned fruits and vegetables that are 80% less than fresh. So you don't have to say just have fresh fruits and vegetables. Just get them in. So going to the freezer and getting frozen berries to put in a smoothie or on your cereal in the morning, frozen broccoli and other types of vegetables, and also canned. And we know canned vegetables, believe it or not, while the heat processing of the canned vegetables will sometimes leach out the water-soluble vitamins in the can, the water-soluble being the B vitamins and the vitamin C.
Okay.
What we know now is that what's in the can stays in the can for 6 months on your shelf. So, sometimes you're going to get into your freezer or your canned shelf and you're going to have a really great source of these nutrients. And the flip side, if you go and you get fresh vegetables, and I always say this, you put those vegetables in, the bottom crisper of your refrigerator where they're wilting away.
Yes.
And a week later you pull them out. Well, really, how much of those vitamins are still there? So fresh is great. Buy what's on sale, but back it up with frozen and canned.
Oh, that's a great tip, though. Because oftentimes we think like, oh, isn't it better maybe to, reach for the multivitamin versus going to canned alternatives or even frozen. But that makes me feel better because yesterday I made myself a blueberry banana smoothie with frozen blueberries. So you're saying that's okay?
I look at you're glowing. Yeah, that's exactly correct. You're perfect.
Yes.
So that's what you want to do is very inexpensive. And you know something? You didn't have to wash the berries. You didn't have to pick the berries. Someone did this all for you.
True.
So even fabulous.
Thanks for making us feel better about, the frozen and canned fruits indeed. So if I had to ask you though, doctor, so do you not take any vitamins at all? I know this is a very personal question, but I'm dying to know.
No. Some people do need vitamins.
Okay.
Let me give you a great example.
Okay.
Vitamins, when I say through a supplement. People that are over the age of 50, they have less hydrochloric acid in their stomach. So the vitamin B12 that's bound to protein sources, animal protein sources, has to be cleaved in the stomach. So because they have less hydrochloric acid, their absorption of vitamin B12 from animal foods is not as good as the synthetic in a supplement. That's a great example of people who could benefit from that. People that maybe have not enough vitamin D in their diet or calcium in the diet may benefit. Women that are considering to conceive a child,
Yes.
my goodness gracious, we know that having a folic acid supplement prior to conception is so important for reducing certain types of birth defects.
Yes.
So there are places where supplements really, really could help you stay healthy. But by themselves, you can't have a diet that's, say, full of jelly beans and have a supplement and say that's a healthy diet. You can't. You have to have a healthy diet and add some depending on what your medical history is. You might need supplements.
Well, thank you for clarifying that. Maybe a certain, segment, a certain demographic, depending on your age, you might need a little bit of boost. So, are there any risks associated with taking too many vitamins? Because I have to preface this by saying, here in Korea, and I'm calling out my own mom, when you get to a certain age, or even, there's a lot of taking of vitamins. I mean, we're talking about like 6, 7, 8 different types of vitamins that people swear by. So I always tell her, isn't that too much? So I'm asking you, the expert, what do you think?
Right, that's a lot of money on her shelf. The first thing you may want to do is before you take a supplement, you always want to check with your healthcare provider.
Yes.
Especially with your mom who may be on medications. You don't want to take in certain amounts of supplements that might interfere with medications. You want to make sure that the supplement that you're taking is what you really need and not getting excessive amounts. Here in the States, we have something called a tolerable upper level, or where you can, some is good, but when you start chronically getting too much of a vitamin, it can have problems in your body. And I'll give you a great example of this.
Okay.
Vitamin C, here you go, vitamin C. We just talked about that for the common cold and for your immune system. If you go up chronically large amounts of vitamin C, it could cause you to have GI distress. And the GI distress that you could have is something called diarrhea. So, if you're taking too much vitamin C in supplements, we may be seeing you running to the bathroom a little too often.
Really, really? Oh, wow. So is there anything else like that? Because I'm sure people are taking notes furiously right now because, I know many people who really load up on the vitamin C right around now. Anything else that we should be mindful about, especially vitamin D? That's a vitamin that comes up quite frequently. Most Korean women here in Korea are very low on vitamin D when we look at the blood tests.
Right, absolutely. And actually, most American women, too. I live in Boston. There isn't any sun in Boston from November to April. So forget vitamin D from the sunshine. So you may need to be supplementing it. But what you want to do is really sit down with your healthcare provider and say, look, these are my medical issues. This is, what my diet typically looks like. Should I be adding a supplement to supplement my diet? And then looking at staying, no more than 100% 100% of the daily value. That's what we use here in the States. So that you get what you need, but you don't get excess to the point that could make you sick.
Ah, great point. The excess. We're going to end it on that note, but thank you so much for showing your enthusiasm and passion about explaining all of this to our listeners today. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And this was Dr. Joan Salge Blake, and she explained how vitamins, yes, sometimes you might need them, but of course, she said, first of all, check with your doctor, your medical provider, and then go from there. This was our second special interview. How are you? Good. Thank goodness you didn't say anything that you shouldn't have. Hot mic.
Good morning,
How are
Busan.
you?
I'm good.
Yes.
What a week. What a week.
Indeed.
The whole week has been What in the World week.
You know, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, people were saying, what in the world?
What in the world or
Yes.
stronger equivalents.
Yes, but we can't say that on
You
air.
can't say that, no.
Right. Well, what do you have for us? Hopefully something kind of like to lift our moods,
Oh, really?
you know, as we transition into the weekend.
You don't want to talk about more?
No?
No?
Oh, is that what we're talking about?
No.
Okay.
I've got a more nerdy What in the World this week. So before we start, however, I want to
Yes.
update you on that banana
Banana.
bananas
Uh-huh.
artwork. They sold for
Banana.
6.2. Have you talked about that?
Did
you cover it?
Who did? Yes.
Somebody covered it?
Real gently.
Yeah.
Yes.
He ate it.
He ate it. Oh, that we didn't cover.
You didn't cover it?
The part
I
that,
thought you
somebody
did.
ate it?
The guy that
The guy
bought
who
it.
bought it, he ate it.
He ate
Oh.
it. As soon as he bought it, he ate it.
I want to
I
be
mean,
that
some
rich.
people have more money than my sense.
I want to be that rich where I can buy a $6.2 million
banana.
art and then consume it.
So that is just a great metaphor for this week.
Yes.
The world is going bananas. So let's start off where we started last week. We
Okay.
started with cars last week.
Yes.
So I'm going to start up this week with Jaguar.
Oh.
So I've got a couple of pictures for you. So the people change logos all the time.
Yes, it's quite common.
Quite common. So
Rebranding.
rebranding. So I had the first picture, if we're able to, of some cars that have
yes.
changed their. So it is fairly similar, but you can see where they're going, and you can
see
understand
the
it.
history,
Yeah,
and then
you
you
see the
kind of
history.
see the slight revision into
Yeah.
something more modern.
Yeah. So
right?
yeah.
And
But then we've got Jaguar. So the first one from Jaguar is their
I
old,
love how you say Jaguar.
how do you say it?
In America, we just say Jaguar.
Jaguar.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
speaking
just
of
saying,
that.
I'm not making fun. I love your accent.
I was making
love
fun
the
of
way you speak, yes.
that last interview because the Boston accent was very was
love
giddy.
her.
I love the Boston
no,
accent.
she was just so energetic. But anyhow, yes.
So Boston. Anyway, so the next picture is of
Jaguar.
Jaguar. Jaguar. Okay, so on the left, this is the old
This is the
one.
old.
This is the old one.
I've seen the new.
So when they first came out with this one, I laughed because you know what they call this?
What?
This is called the growler.
The growler, like,
But
Yes.
in New Zealand and Australia, that has a different meaning.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, so I'm not going to say it. I'm going to leave it to our listeners to look that up on the internet.
I'm
So
curious now.
it's called the
Okay.
growler.
Uh-huh.
But then the next picture we've got is the new one. And this caught my eye because I saw their advertisement, do you say in America?
Advertisement.
Ad.
The ad.
Their
The
ad. And I had no idea what this was advertising. There's nothing about the car. So yeah, this is the new one.
No. But when I first, if you look at the one on the right where it has an actual
there's no
Jaguar, but I
change,
saw the other one and I was just like, what is that?
Yeah.
It was my question.
Yeah. So for me, that was What in the World. But I wanted to show the advertisement, but obviously because of many reasons, you can't show it. But if you might see it on the net or on the tube. Have a look at it. It has nothing about cars on it.
Are you talking about the growler as a keg? Kind of like a beer container?
No.
Okay, then I'll like after off air.
Carry on to the third or fourth definition.
Okay. All right.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, J and R basically. So I Jaguar. That even doesn't make too much sense there because they're owned by Tata. TATA, which is an Indian company, so I have no idea.
But people, I saw the comments. And people were kind of like, "What?" Like you just said.
So that's a big what in the world.
Yes.
Okay, next one.
Yes.
From Jaguars to witches, wizards, and muggles of the airwaves.
Oh, Harry Potter.
Yeah, Harry Potter.
Yes.
Are you a Harry Potter fan?
I've read all the books in the series.
What are they called, Harry Potter fans? Are they called like potheads or? Harry.
Definitely not potheads. No. I'm like at a loss of words right now.
So the story is about the Harry Potter world that they have in Japan. They were selling a 34-inch long replica of the Gryffindor sword. Okay, so the Japanese authorities banned it, saying you're not allowed to sell this anymore. A sword is a sword, sharp edges or not. So the edges of the sword were so blunt. And I put here, couldn't cut soft butter with it. But the tip, just the tip, was a little bit too sharp.
Oh, no.
Yes, so they ruled it illegal for them to buy it or own it without a special permit.
Yes.
However, 350 were sold already, and those that have left Japan are in the clear.
Who are still there, what's going to happen?
They have to give it back. For a full refund, of course.
Okay.
So no problem there.
Yes.
So you're in the clear if you've already bought one, no problem there.
Because you didn't know.
Yeah.
I guess.
Of course you bought one.
Okay. On to our next story.
Next one. I've practiced this word, and hopefully those who speak German can either make fun of me.
Okay, let's butcher it. What is it?
Kriegstückstück. Oh my goodness.
What?
Kriegstückstück.
What does that mean?
I had it right this morning.
But what does it mean?
It means war capable.
War capable?
Yeah. So
capable of war?
Yeah. So this is kind of like what's been happening this week. You were talking about somebody trying to take advantage of the situation by selling something. So in Europe, almost all the countries are promoting bunkers. Bunkers, like underground bunkers.
Underground bunkers.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're promoting it, and people are going around building them. And every country, so in Sweden, they're doing that, but they're also they've put a website up with how to build a bunker and how to prepare for World War III if and when it comes. Sorry, if it comes.
And I looked up bunker in Korean.
Yep.
It says bunko. So I thought there was like a special word, so I was looking for it.
Yeah, I thought it would have a special word too.
Yes.
Maybe underground hiding place. They might have something like that. Yep. So Finland also has one. Almost every country in Europe is going through them. Okay.
All right.
Do we have time for one more?
Yeah, we do.
Okay. I'm going to finish this off with a very nerdy segment. When you think of chess.
Yes, chess. The game of chess.
The game of chess.
Yes.
Last year, I spoke about one guy who was banned from a website for using or accused of using anal beads.
Yes.
This one is a 17-year-old chess prodigy called Christopher Yu, who has a Korean name, Yu Yong-gyu.
Oh, okay. He's Korean.
Korean background. He's American, though.
Okay.
He got suspended for
what?
Fighting,
like an actual fist fight?
Yep.
During a chess game?
After a chess game, not really fighting. It was a videographer or a blogger wanted to talk to him, or ask him some questions after a match, and he punched him. So,
just straight up?
Yeah.
Apparently he didn't want to talk to him.
Apparently he didn't. So his parents agreed with it. They didn't have anything to say. They said it's fair. It's tough, but it's fair. But so when you're thinking about chess, you're not really thinking about that. So for all those chess players out there with an anger management problem, keep your fists in check.
In check.
I couldn't go through the whole segment without an
adage. A dad joke.
A dad joke.
And Leslie confirms it's true. They're not called potterheads.
Oh, so close.
Yes, because the other one means something quite different.
Yeah, my one was a little bit,
Yeah.
questionable.
Very questionable. Yes.
Just hopefully nobody puts up growler on there.
I know, because we have Drift Monkey says definitely off air. Like check off air.
Oh, yes. Good suggestion. Oh, have we got some more time? What was the text topic for today?
Healthy and delicious food.
Healthy and delicious?
I know.
Yeah.
You did the and perfectly because, but people have been sending in their recipes for really healthy but yummy food.
I liked what the interview that you just did.
Yes.
When she was talking about frozen vegetables, because I was always wondering, when you freeze vegetables or fruit, do they lose something?
I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
Like she was saying, but it's better than
nothing.
Going to vitamins, I guess, according to her. Yes.
And also, before, when you're talking about dishwater, that's how we explain tea as well in New Zealand. Because
I didn't say that. Haley did. Don't throw me under the boat.
Can you
the car?
Can you brew me some dishwater, please?
Oh, that's terrible. And well, we wish you a very
Merry Christmas.
No, a good weekend. What is wrong with you today?
Well, that's the collocation. Wish you a very.
I can wish you a good weekend.
Okay.
Have a good weekend.
You too.
All right. I'll think about it. Anyhow, everybody, this was Vasana with What in the World? Seriously, what in the world, Vasana, is all I have to say. And yes, we're going to get into a fist fight after we're off air. Just wait for that. That will be part 2. Anyhow, thank you so much for tuning in this week. I don't say it enough, but big thanks to our staff who works hard behind the scenes to make sure I sound half intelligent. So we have our producer, Cho Yun-jin. We have our writers, Haley, and of course, Annie as well. And I'm your host, Catherine. I'll be back to do it all over on Monday. So wishing you a wonderful weekend. This is Text Me Merry Christmas by Straight No Chaser. Have a good one. Bye, everybody.
This December to fully charge your phone and text me Merry Christmas. Let me know you care. Just a word or two of text from you will remind me you're still there. You don't have to add much to it. One smiley face will do. Baby, text me Merry Christmas, 'cause I'm missing kissing you.
Whoa. Text me Merry Christmas, make my holiday complete. Though you're far from me, say you'll be RB. That's a text I'll never delete. No. Choose just the right emoji, one that makes me LOL. And if you text me something naughty, I promise I won't tell.
I don't care if you spell things right, I just want to hear from you tonight. Stroke those keys with your delicate touch and type those little words that mean so much.
Hi.
Hey.
How are you?
Okay.
Miss you.
Miss you too.
Xmas sucks without you.
I know. LOL.
Love you.
Love you.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
A Facebook message isn't quite as sweet. I need more from you than just a tweet.
A snap on Snapchat doesn't last, and voicemail that's from Christmas past. Text me Merry Christmas,
send a selfie too.
If you do, I'll go meet the mistletoe
and pretend my screen is you. Show me that you love me. Text, phone and kiss and hug me. I'll be right here waiting for my pants to start vibrating. Baby, text me Merry Christmas, and I will text you too.